and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpse of South Asia. I'm your host Shivangi Mishra. Here are the headlines. China-Pakistan hand in gloves to support terrorism. Minorities continue to face persecution in Bangladesh. And Indian devout and foreigners throng Temple Town to celebrate Hindu festival. Let's begin the show. The world is suffering due to frequent terror activities and rise of fundamentalism. As when stress is laid to wipe out extremism to maintain global peace, some countries are lending their support to these exterminators. Recently, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres was on a 3-day visit to India. He met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and top leadership. Now let's watch out why China and Pakistan remain strong allies to support extremism and create hurdles to global peace.
Paying tributes to the victims of most horrific Mumbai terror attacks, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, after paying homage to the martyrs of the 26/11 terrorist attacks at the Hotel Taj in Mumbai, said no cause can justify terrorism of any kind, and that fighting terrorism should be the global priority of every country in the world. It was in 2008, 10 members of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, an Islamist terrorist organization from Pakistan, carried out 12 coordinated shooting and bombing attacks lasting 4 days across India's financial capital. A total of 175 people died, including 9 attackers, and more than 300 were wounded.
Terrorism is absolute evil. There are no reasons, no pretexts, no causes, no grievances that can justify terrorism. Terrorism is absolute evil, and terrorism has no room in today's world. So I feel deeply moved to be here, where one of the most barbaric terrorist acts in history took place, where 166 people lost their lives.
It was surprising that India's massive efforts in fighting against terrorism were crushed by China and its ally, Pakistan, at the United Nations. Beijing recently put hold on a proposal by India and the US at the United Nations to blacklist Pakistan-based terrorist Hafiz Talha Saeed, the son of Mumbai terror attacks mastermind and Lashkar-e-Taiba chief Hafiz Saeed. Earlier, China had put on hold a proposal to list Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba leader Shahid Mahmood as a global terrorist. Observers who understand the working of the United Nations said that China is misusing its status as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council to put a hold on the listing of Pakistan-based terrorists on the UN Security Council's Al-Qaeda and ISIL Sanctions Committee. When it comes to putting curb on terrorists it shelters, Pakistan maintains silence at global forums. At the 90th Interpol General Assembly in New Delhi, Pakistani delegate remained tight-lipped when asked about extradition of underworld don Dawood Ibrahim and handing over Hafiz Saeed, the mastermind of 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, to India. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while addressing the conference, called for global action against terror financing.
When threats are global, the response cannot be just local. It is time, and it is high time, that the world comes together to defeat these threats. Friends, India has been combating transnational terrorism for several decades, long before the world woke up to it. We knew the price of safety and security.
Pakistan remains the breeding ground of dozens of terrorist outfits including the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Jhangvi. At various international platforms, be it United Nations or Financial Action Task Force, Pakistan praises its own efforts about measures taken to eliminate terrorism. In reality, it continues to shelter, finance and provides training to them. India, which remains victim of cross-border terrorism for over 3 decades, has regularly informed the United Nations about its neighbors' continued laxity towards terror financing investigations and prosecutions of senior leaders and commanders of United Nations designated terrorist groups.
The Hindu community is the second largest religious group in Muslim-dominated Bangladesh, constituting approximately 7.95% of the total population. In recent years, the minority Hindus have been facing persecution at the hands of hardline Islamists in the country, despite assurances of safety and protection from Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. We have a report.
This demolished Hindu temple in Bangladesh's Kumilla district is yet another illustration of festering extremism and intolerance against minorities in the country. 2 Muslim teenagers were apprehended by locals for defiling the idol of the Hindu goddess Kali. Police suspect that both the teenagers committed this act of vandalism at the urging of radical Islamic extremist groups in the region. Another ancient Kali temple was targeted a day after the attack in the Kumilla district. Multiple unidentified assailants, under the cover of night, broke into a Kali temple in the Janaida district. The idol of Kali was found broken into several pieces.
কালী মন্দির যেটি রাতের অন্ধকারে কে বা কারা এটিকে ভাঙচুর করে তার মাথা দূর রাস্তায় নিয়ে গিয়ে অন্তত মন্দির থেকে 200 গজ দূরে রাস্তার উপরে রাখছে, যেটা আমরা যারা সনাতন ধর্মাবলম্বী আছি তাদের হৃদয়কে অত্যন্ত ব্যথিত করেছে। বাংলাদেশ প্রধানমন্ত্রীর কাছে আমাদের বিনীত আবেদন, এই ন্যাক্কারজনক ঘটনার সুষ্ঠু তদন্ত সাপেক্ষে এবং বিচার বিভাগীয় একটা বিচার করার জন্য আমি করুণ আকুতি জানাচ্ছি।
These 2 incidents are the latest in a string of attacks on the minority Hindu community and their places of worship, last year after a fake news story of the desecration of the Islamic holy book, the Quran, in a Hindu puja pandal spread in the Kumilla district. More than 100 Hindu temples, festival locations, businesses, and houses were reportedly attacked after the incident, and there were 7 fatalities. Fake news traveled fast, and the after effects were all too real for these minorities in Bangladesh. The Hindu community has not been the only minority group in the country to be under threat either. A Buddhist monastery in the southwest part of the nation was also burned down. Furthermore, in October last year, a violent Muslim mob also attacked an International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON temple, in the country's Noakhali region. Riches were stolen and the temple was desecrated. In March this year, another ISKCON-affiliated Rashakanta Jeev temple was also vandalized by a mob. In Bangladesh, radical Muslim groups have been allowed to grow unchecked, resulting in a continuously simmering deep-seated anti-Hindu sentiment. As was seen in the wake of the spread of the false story about the desecration of the Quran in a Hindu prayer area, the slightest provocation, real or imagined, is enough to bring anti-Hindu sentiment to a boil. The United Nations has rebuked the Bangladeshi government over these attacks and has called for an investigation into the orchestrated crimes against the Hindu minority community. Amnesty International, also noting the pattern of attacks on Hindus, condemned the government, saying that the state had failed in its duty to protect minorities.
The world should take account of these atrocities which are being carried out and try to crack down on these kinds of activities in order that the peaceful and the friendly people of Bangladesh could lead a life with dignity, including the minorities.
Several independent research groups found that social media was used as an effective tool to spread hatred against minorities in Bangladesh. Since 2012, there have been many attacks on religious minorities in Bangladesh as a result of online posts that spread misleading or false information. There has been a clear pattern to these attacks. A rumor is sparked that members of a minority group have disparaged Islam, and then this rumor is spread swiftly online. Recent studies have revealed shifting patterns in Bangladesh's Islamic majoritarianism, where being accused of committing blasphemy and atheism can have deadly consequences. For example, violent Islamists have murdered atheist bloggers, and a number of so-called blasphemous authors, cartoonists, publishers, and bloggers have been forced to reside in exile. According to prominent representatives of many minority communities, the attacks on their homes and places of worship by Islamic extremists also have a financial incentive, with attempts to rob the minority groups of their land and possessions. While the Bangladeshi government claims that minorities are protected, little has been done to actually prevent these attacks against Hindus and other religious minorities from happening time and time again.
Now let's take a look at a few happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch. The world's tallest mountain, Mount Everest or Sagarmataha, was visible on October 18 from a hill station in Kathmandu just before sunrise. The 8,848.86 meter high mountain, which had been obscured by haze for a few hours, was visible again standing on the backside of mountain ranges that stretch along the northern side of the Kathmandu Valley. The rolling mountains on north has captivated residents, with some rushing to hill stations before dawn to witness the oscillation of sun over the white patch of the snow on top of the peaks. Depending on the weather, residents of the Kathmandu Valley can see Mount Manasalu, Mount Ganesh, Langtang Snow Range, Jugal and many more frequently. It comes by luck that the view of Mount Everest, only the crown or the top of the world's tallest mountain. Nepal is home to 9 out of the 10 highest mountains in the world, and the country depends on the revenue paid by climbers to summit the peaks that have been permitted to ascend. The temperature of the Kathmandu Valley has been decreasing for some days as the westerly wind is getting activated. Surrounded by people and stalls at Basra's Cultural and Book Street, Al-Farhidi, Iraqi engineer and artist Ghassan Muhammad Ali, entertains passers-by as he paints portraits with his finger. Discovering the technique as a joke 2 years ago when he painted a portrait of his friend, Ali realized that painting with his finger gave his work a depth he found lacking when using a brush. With time, he developed his technique to achieve different results using the same finger. While Ali's approach is interesting to visitors of the street who stop to take pictures of him working, he says drawing with his finger creates a strong spiritual relationship with him and the art. Ali, who is an engineer in the public sector, loved art from a young age and practices it in his free time. With tourism coming to a standstill during the pandemic, Japan's tourism industry was no exception. After a 4 years hiatus, the Tourism Expo Japan 2022 was held in Tokyo with the motive of reviving tourism in the country. At the expo, major players from the tourism industry, along with the Japanese authorities, set up booths and invited tourists to the country. Okinawa is a popular tourist destination. Tourists visit Okinawa to see the beautiful ocean and mountains and to taste unique food. Okinawa Prefecture is promoting Okinawa Karate as a new way to attract tourists while they spread awareness regarding the origin of karate in Okinawa. In addition, Okinawa Prefecture is promoting workation, combining work and vacation. Teleworking job style accelerates moving to the countryside to enjoy the rural atmosphere and work. It is the change of lifestyle that derives from the coronavirus pandemic. Hokkaido is also popular among tourists from Southeast Asia. The local government Nobo Ribetsu Toya is trying to attract more tourists by promoting Yupopoi, a museum that allows visitors to experience its nature and Ainu culture. The Ainu have a long history of living in Hokkaido. Japan has significantly eased entry from foreign countries due to the reduction of coronavirus cases. Japan's coffee culture is very popular throughout the world. To promote the same, the SCARJ World Specialty Coffee Conference and Exhibition 2022 was held in Tokyo. It is Asia's largest coffee trade fair. The theme of the conference was "Come join the specialty coffee community." Different high-quality coffee beans along with the state-of-the-art machines from around the world were displayed there. In Japanese history, many immigrants immigrated to Brazil, a coffee-producing country in the world. Japanese Brazilians have contributed to and created the deep coffee culture of Japan today. It is trading company of Myanmar Coffee. Myanmar's coffee beans have attracted the attention of the world's coffee industry for their recent advances in cultivation technology and high quality through careful work. Japan's coffee market has exponentially grown and is gaining attention from across the globe. Importers and exporters in illegally occupied Gilgit-Baltistan are protesting against the exploitation they are facing due to tax hikes for the imports on the ports. They are also accusing the government for its discriminatory attitudes towards them. Demonstrators are also saying that even after paying proper taxes, they are facing issues from the tax collectors. We have a report.
Protests against an unprecedented surge in taxes have gained momentum across illegally occupied Gilgit-Baltistan. Importers and exporters staged a protest at NLC Dry Port against exorbitant tax. Importers are saying that tax collector officials change every week, and each collector has its own policies. The ports are frequently closed and people are facing net issues. Also, tax collectors have their own internal differences, due to which businessmen are getting tortured and facing customs problems.
कस्टम वाले आपस की लड़ाइयों में यहाँ के बिजनेसमैन को इनको टार्चर कर रहे हैं। उनकी आपस की दुश्मनियां हैं, कस्टम की आपस में लड़ रहे हैं, जिसका खमियाजा हमें भुगतना पड़ता है। लिहाजा हम रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं चेयरमैन FBR से, गवर्नमेंट वजीर आजम पाकिस्तान से, आर्मी चीफ से कि इस जो आईन बेआईन खित्ता जो है यहाँ पे टैक्स है नहीं, लेकिन इसके बावजूद हम टैक्स दे रहे हैं, माकूल टैक्स दे रहे हैं। किसी भी पोर्ट से दुनिया का हाईएस्ट पोर्ट में इसको समझता हूँ, जहाँ पे इस सर्दी में इस मुश्किल में हम तो चेन करके गाड़ियाँ यहाँ ला के टैक्स दे रहे हैं। हम बहुत सारे इश्यूज का जो है मसाइल का फेस कर रहे हैं। हम लोकल गवर्नमेंट गिलगित बल्तिस्तान गवर्नमेंट से भी अपील करते हैं, जो भी इश्यूज है यहाँ के कारोबारियों का, इनको गवर्नमेंट भी अपने हिसाब से आगे बात करें और इधर के मसाइल को हल करें।
People in the illegally occupied Gilgit-Baltistan are repeatedly subjected to discrimination, where they are made to pay a significantly more tax for the goods that are being imported on the port as compared to ports in other provinces of Pakistan. And now, amid this pandemic that has already hit the economy and the ports were closed for 3 years, these tax hikes have come as an appalling blow. Demonstrators say that even after paying proper taxes, their trucks are being stopped and they face other issues. Protesters have accused the government of being discriminatory towards them. Other ports are getting items that cost $5 to $8 in just $1 or $1.50, and people of this illegally occupied region are paying higher value.
कराची वाले टोटल इस वक्त जितने इंपोर्ट हो रहा है इंडस्ट्री के नाम पे हो रहा है, कमर्शियल माल हो रहा है, 30-40-50% छूट ले रहे हैं। उसके अलावा DTRA के नाम पे दुनिया का छूट पे माल आ रहा है। और ऑल ओवर टैक्स देखिए तो हमारे टैक्स 60-70 लाख 80 लाख पाकिस्तान की डीजल पोर्ट से हमारा ज्यादा है। हमने आगे लोगों को माल देने, डिलीवरी देने, अचानक टैक्स करोड़ों रुपए ऊपर करेंगे। 100% हम किधर से लेते? तमाम पोर्ट्स में हो रहा है पाकिस्तान की। तो सर अगर वैल्यू में जो वैल्यू हम दे रहे हैं यहाँ, जो पक्की रूलिंग लग रही है, तब दूसरे पोर्ट्स में हमारे पास प्रूफ है। $5 $8 का जो आइटम $1.5 $1 में हो रहा है, 45 सेंट में हो रहा है। उसके बावजूद तमाम कानून लागू करते हैं, लेकिन एक पॉलिसी की चल रही, दिन ब दिन ये पॉलिसी तब्दील पता नहीं कभी
प्रॉपर टैक्स हम दे रहे थे। तो ये तकरीबन एक हफ्ता जो नया कलेक्टर आ गया है यहाँ पे, इसके बाद यहाँ दिन आए, कभी गाड़ियाँ रुक जाती हैं, कभी टैक्स का इशू होता है, कभी 100% होता है। 100% आज तक किसी पोर्ट पाकिस्तान के किसी पोर्ट पे भी नहीं हुआ है। पिशावर में इस वक्त 20 लाख 25 लाख में कंटेनर निकलता है, जबकि इधर हम 70 लाख 80 लाख कंटेनर का टैक्स दे रहे हैं। तो ये हमारे साथ ज्यादती हो रही। 3 साल कोरोना की वजह से बंद हो गया, अभी बड़ी मुश्किल से ये खुल गया था। ये फिर यहाँ पे ये टैक्स का ये इशू आ गए।
Importers in Gilgit-Baltistan give huge revenues to the government, but still they face atrocities from the government. But this time, importers and exporters say that they will not be fazed by the government's devious plans and will continue to protest against the immoral tax policies.
Now it's time for our cultural section of the show, where the special prayers offered by devotees from across the world to celebrate the festival of Deepdan in Mathura city of Uttar Pradesh. Celebrated during the Kartik month, prayers were offered to Lord Krishna. Have a look.
The month of Kartik is considered to be one of the most auspicious months in Hinduism. Coinciding with the Gregorian months of October and November, major Hindu festivals are celebrated during this time. It is believed in Hinduism that worshipping Lord Vishnu and his avatars during this month bestows blessings. With the onset of this pious month, Krishna devotees from not just India but around the world started thronging Krishna temples in Mathura city of Uttar Pradesh to celebrate the festival of Deepdan, that is lighting of lamps to honor the deity.
इसी महीना स्पेशल चल रहा है, कार्तिक का मंथ है। इसी मंथ को दामोदर मास भी कहा जाता है और कार्तिक महीने में विशेष करके दीपदान का व्यवस्था किया जाता है, जो कि एक दीपदान करने से लाखों माने पूरे साल का दीपदान का फल मिलता है।
Devotees from across the world, including those from Russia, China and the United States, clad in saffron attires, were seen dipped in festive spirit as they chanted Hare Krishna in the temple premises. People donned sandalwood tilaks on their foreheads and offered candles, diyas and incense sticks to the deities. Devotees sang religious hymns and danced to the beat of drums as a mark of devotion towards Krishna. It was quite a sight to see the temple premises lit with 100 diyas as all the devotees were full of faith and fervour for Lord Krishna.
दीपदान का बताया गया है कि सबसे पहला दीपदान यशोदा मैया ने किया था भगवान का, जब भगवान ने ओखल से उनको बांधा था और भगवान जब गिरे थे तो भगवान ने दीपदान यशोदा मैया ने उनको दीप दिखा के सबसे पहले दीपदान उन्होंने किया। यशोदा मैया ने दीप दिखाया और देखा कि भगवान को कहीं चोट तो नहीं लगी, तो तब से ये दीपदान शुरू हुआ है। और जो भी कार्तिक के महीने में दीपदान करता है उसको कितने हजारों साल के उसके पाप खत्म हो जाते हैं। तो बहुत बहुत ये महत्वपूर्ण है दीपदान करना।
Lord Krishna is worshipped as the 8th incarnation of Vishnu, the Hindu god of preservation. According to Hindu texts, Lord Krishna took birth in human form to kill Kansa, demon king of Mathura city and maternal uncle of Lord Krishna.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on the behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.